Give it up for those guys. That was awesome. That was super cool. Let me just introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Steve. I'm the executive pastor here at Eikon Church. And man, I'll tell you what, it is just so cool to get to hear some stories about what God is doing in our midst. I mean, so fun to hear from so many of you guys, and kind of those of you who were able to kind of share in that video. It's just amazing. And here's why we want to do this meeting, is because we realize that when you are when you're in the middle of what God is doing, when you're in the middle of kind of all the chaos that is Eikon Church and all the different ministries and all the amazing things that are happening all the time, it's easy for that just to become normal. And it's easy for that just to become like, oh yeah, that's just my church. That's just how things go. That's just the way it is. And you fail to realize how uncommon it is that what we get to be a part of here at Eikon Church. Because let me just tell you, what has been happening at Eikon, what has been happening in our community is absolutely extraordinary. God has been doing some incredible things, and over the next 30 minutes or so, we just wanted to take some time to celebrate what God's been doing, to highlight some of those incredible stories and moments that we got to be a part of, and then also to take a moment to kind of look ahead and say, okay, where is God leading us in this next season? Where is God leading us over this next year? And so we're going to do just that. And so what I'm going to do over the next couple minutes is just share some numbers with you. We have all sorts of numbers from this past year. We're going to give all of them to you here in just a little bit, but I just wanted to take a moment to kind of share some incredible things that God's been doing just by looking at some of the numbers. So the first thing I want to share is our attendance, all right? Now, this is why I wanted to take a moment to highlight our attendance. It's because again, like, you just forget how uncommon this is. The Barna Group, they did a study on church attendance in America, and they found that the average church size in America is about 89 people, okay? That's the average church size, that's great. There's all sorts of churches in our community. That's awesome. And what we've gotten to experience from the very beginning has been nothing short of miraculous. And I want you to get some perspective on this. So one of the cool things, you can put up that next one here, is from the very beginning, since we launched back in 2013, every single year we've experienced growth. And I just want to tell you, that is so uncommon, okay? That doesn't happen, and we have gotten to be blessed that every single year God is bringing more and more families to be a part of our community. God's blessing more and more people, and so you see here, this past year, in 2016, we had an average attendance of 276 people, which is amazing, almost 3 times the national average, which is incredible. And I'm happy to report that last year in 2017, our average attendance was 421 people. Now listen, the reason why we celebrate that number isn't so we can say, look at us, we're a big church. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's because that represents 421 lives that's getting to intersect with Jesus each and every single week, and God is transforming their lives. So 421. Now to put that in perspective, that's a 52% growth year over year, which is absolutely incredible. And I know we're going to be kind of focusing mostly on 2017 today as we kind of celebrate what God's done over the last year. But just to also put this in perspective, we are still growing. You may have realized when you came in today, there was absolutely nowhere to park, okay? We're still growing. Just in the last couple months, our attendance has also increased to 476 average people here every Sunday. In fact, which is crazy. Already in 2018, just over the last few weeks, we've had 2 Sundays where we've been over 500 just on a normal Sunday, not on like Easter or something crazy. Like, we had just a few weeks ago, we were 555 people here on a Sunday, which is insane. Now, we don't want to just look at attendance. We also want to look at engagement. How are people growing and taking next steps as part of the church? So the 3 things I want to highlight for you real quickly is groups, serving, and baptism. Because we really feel like, man, if people are getting baptized, man, that's a sign that God is doing some incredible things in their life, man. If people are serving and they're involved in a community, man, like, God is going to grow them as an individual. And so we want to look at that. So when we look at groups, this past year we had 30 groups all over Hays County throughout the year that met together, that were living in community, that weren't just sitting in pews like this on Sunday morning, but rather in each other's lives and meeting together on a regular basis. And with that, we had about 34% groups engagement. About 34% of our adults were engaged in groups, which is great because that means that people are engaged in community and getting into each other's lives, which is incredible. Now, this is a number, we want to see this increase this year. We want to see more people get involved in groups. We want to see more families doing life together because we really feel like that's where growth happens best in the context of community. So we want to see this increase. So if you're not in a group yet, let me just give a little plug. Today is the perfect day to get plugged into a group, okay? Because I'm telling you, we've got some incredible things happening. So that's groups. Next, we want to look at serving, okay? We have about 120 individuals, amazing individuals who are serving each and every single month here at Eikon to help make these services happen. It's incredible. Let me just also give a little plug. We could use about 120 more of you to jump on board. So if you're not serving anywhere, we need you, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But that represents about 38% serving engagement, which is great. But again, we want to see that number continue to increase this year as we look ahead to what God's doing in our midst. And then baptisms. This is probably my favorite because baptisms is such a significant moment in the life of a follower of Christ, because it's when they say, man, I'm going public with my faith. Jesus has changed my life, and I want to celebrate that with our community. And last year, we saw 31 individuals get baptized, which is so incredible. So not only is that looking kind of at the engagement, but also we want to look at loving our community, because I'll tell you what, one of our core values is we want to be a church that is a blessing and a benefit to our community. And last year, man, you guys served so much. We had about 8 or 9 different community engagement events that you guys were a part of, and between Sundays and serving our community in all these different events, you guys served over 11,000 hours to be a blessing and a benefit to our community, which is incredible. In fact, one of our favorite ones that we love is our annual Easter egg drop extravaganza. We did that last year for the 4th time, I believe. And it was incredible. In fact, we had over 7,000 people show up last year that we could bless and love on last year. And just also put another little plug. It's coming up again this year, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. You're going to hear more about that soon, but it was incredible. Not only were you guys generous with your time, but you guys invested your finances, and we as a church were able to be a blessing and a benefit to our community by giving over $41,000 to local and global missions to see Jesus become famous all over the world. Absolutely incredible. And so there's so many more things that we want to highlight, but we also want to honor your time today and make sure that we can kind of talk about all the incredible things that are coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you an annual report that's going to land in your inbox today. It's going to celebrate all sorts of highlights and numbers over the past year so that you guys can get a feel for all the incredible things that God's doing in our ministries. But before we kind of move on, I just wanted to highlight one more thing that's kind of hot off the press today, actually, and that is the Best of Hayes. If you're not familiar with that, that's people in our community that's saying these are the best restaurants and the best, auto repair and the best everything in Hayes County, looking at, San Marcos, Kyle, and Buda. And this year, just as of today, I believe, this is public today, we were honored in 3 different categories, which is absolutely incredible. And just thought this is actually going to be in next week's paper, so you guys are you guys are the first to hear this, but we actually got, for the 3rd year in a row, our Egg Drop community event got 2nd place in Best Community Event, which is incredible. We were just behind Sights and Sounds, which means we need more of you guys to vote next year. Not cool. But we'll still celebrate that. Because here's why that's important. Because what this means is that not only is God doing incredible things amongst us in our church, but it means that the community is actually taking notice, which is huge, right? Not only did we get Best Community Event, 2nd place, but actually one of us in this room actually were honored with the best volunteer in the entire community, which that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know how he beat out some of you other guys, because I think we've got some pretty incredible volunteers. But Daniel Guadiano, best volunteer in all of Hayes County, which is amazing. And then for the 2nd year in a row, our very own fearless leader, Dan Matlock, was the best civic leader, which is so incredible. I think we all agree with that. Pretty amazing. So with that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on, and as we do, you heard us mention just briefly our Egg Drop event. It's coming up in just about a month and a half. We are full throttle. I want to show you this quick video to kind of get you ready for what God's going to be doing soon. Watch this.
Well, how are we doing this morning? We got this mic? Check. There we are. How are we doing? Dan, I'm not officially fired because I'm here, sitting up here on stage with you, so I feel good. I think I still got my job.
No, I already packed up your office. Oh. After this. It's after
All
this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love times like this because we kind of get to shrink the room down a little bit, and everybody that we're just kind of here as a community, really, and I know that the people in this room really, really care about the future of this church. Yeah. And we really like to celebrate what God's been doing in the course of the last 12 months, and even honestly before that. And that's where I want to start. I'm going to ask Dan and Kelly some questions, our fearless leaders. We love them. And but before I do that, I want you guys, Dan and Kelly, to look out at this room, and I want you to think about where we were 6 years ago. For those of you that don't know, 6 years ago, we were sitting with 8 people in Rockford, Illinois, dreaming about what God might do. And we didn't have a name for this community, and we weren't sure it was going to work. And Dan did not offer me a job. He just said, just move down here and play guitar a little bit. But now to fast forward 6 years and hear some of the stats that even Steve was just highlighting, it's like a God dream that we're getting to see come true. And so that's where I want to start a little bit this morning, is I just want to say, as you guys look at the last 6 years, what maybe stands out to you so far? Is there a moment, is there something where you're saying like, you know, and this is almost like a moment where you pause and you just say, whoa, you know? Yeah. So just talk about the last 6 years real quick. What comes to mind as you think about this journey?
For me, first of all, hearing those stats, and really more than that, the stories beforehand. One of the things that I loved most about some of those stories is I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know them, you know? And it's like, it's incredible, you know, that it's gotten to this point that it was never about us, you know, but to see that it's grown so much to the point that lives are being affected, and I don't even know those stories. Like, there will be stories that we'll find out about someday that we had no clue. So as I look out here and to think about that really stands out to me. But I think a few moments that really stand out as I think back, our very first egg drop that we ever did, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. Yep. We did a small one at a school, and it was just no helicopter involved. And it was just a little Easter thing that we did at the school that we were serving. That's before we ever had church services. We did this thing to serve the community. And then we launched church services in 2013 in the fall, and that first Easter came around. Yep. And we had this idea to do this egg drop with like a helicopter and thousands, tens of thousands of eggs and all of these things. And imagine, this is like when the whole church was like 120 people. Yep. So I remember sitting down and did the math on how much it would cost, and it might as well have been like $90 million. Like, we did not have, like, that was the exact amount that we had. So we had to decide, do we clear out everything in our bank account and serve this community and just dive in head first, or do we play it safe? Yep. And that decision, when we finally decided let's do it, was absolutely terrifying and amazing at the same time. And that's one.
In staff for so long.
Oh man, we
awesome.
Fought and argued and disagreed, and that stands out to me. Yep. The discussion we had when we decided that we wanted to every Sunday do a reverse offering. Yep. That moment really stood out to me. And honestly, last May, we got to a point, I don't know if you were here for that special meeting we had one Tuesday, and our finances were not looking good. We had made a leap by jumping into this building, and it was this huge leap of faith, and it was looking scary. Like, are we going to be able to keep the church going? And if you compare January to May of last year and May to December, it's a story of two different churches. Yep. I mean, the finances completely turned around, and it was nothing that we did. Yeah. It was you. Yeah. Like, at that meeting, everything changed.
That's awesome.
And it was, again, terrifying. I'm noting this trend. But anyway, those are some
scary
moments that stand
things
out to
end
me.
up being moments of faith that we look back at.
Yeah.
Kelly, what about for you?
I mean, I guess overall across the board, I feel like I've been in a constant state of this isn't supposed to happen. Like from day one, in a good way, like from day one of us, you know, in our living room, having these conversations, which one really cool thing is we knew some people that knew a lot of people in the area, and they like all sent us names of individuals they knew in Hays County, and we would pray by name for all of these people. But I think everything that has happened, I keep thinking, this just doesn't happen. Like, it's all felt really surreal to me for the past 6 years. And I think, too, a lot of times, it's like when you're about to have a baby, everybody tells you all their horror stories about having a baby. It's the same when you're planting a church. It's like all these people, like we went to this thing called Church Planters Boot Camp, and they tell you all the terrible things that could happen. Or they tell you about all the church plants that have failed. Or what could go wrong, you know. And the purpose of it is to prepare you and to help you to think and to know what you're doing. But I just kept expecting for like this big, terrible, horrible, when is it going to hit the fan? When is this? And things just kept, miracle after miracle, God coming through time after time. Like it's just been one big, it's not supposed to be this way, you know? And then the second thing for me, really honestly, it's the team. It's the team of people we have around us here and the volunteers and you're only as good as the team you have surrounding you, and I can honestly say that, like people will say, Dan and Kelly, the pastors, I'm like, oh, no, like it's the team. It's the team, it's you pouring in countless hours and effort. I've been to a lot of churches and talked with a lot of pastors, and you gotta know that we have a killer team in this place. This room, like all of you, awesome. You are not normal. Like, this is not normal for a lot of
Weird
churches.
people.
So we're so incredibly grateful for every single one of you.
Yeah, thanks for calling all of us
I
weird.
just add my favorite event, and both of us said both of us said this. Our favorite event that we've ever done as a church, hands down, Night to Shine. That just happened a few months ago. It was.
If you weren't here, you really missed out.
You did. Jump in next year because you will have missed out if you don't experience it. It was awesome.
In true pastor form, we have 10 minutes and we've already taken up 7 of them in one question. So I'm going to fast forward this. No. Look back at the last year. Tell me, you just said favorite event. So what's like your favorite sermon series? What's your favorite kind of, the thing that you kind of, you've gotten a chance to speak quite a bit over the last year. So what would you say is your favorite sermon series, maybe moments for our church?
Yeah. For me, it was last fall when we did, I preached it and I forgot it. Who Needs God?
Yeah.
When we did the Who Needs God series. That was by far my favorite because we were able to talk about a subject in a way that a lot of churches just choose not to. And just be real honest with people and allow people to come in that maybe have a lot of doubts about God and maybe have had some bad experiences and just be honest with those and talk about those. So probably first that, and then the series right after that, the Story of God, where we went through the whole Bible, Genesis to Revelation. Those were probably my 2 favorite series this past year.
Oh, Who Needs God, hands down. He totally stole my answer. So, that was my absolute favorite. Yeah.
That's great.
Giving people permission to doubt and let that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, it's huge.
Yep. Okay, let's look forward. Let's look at 2018. What are a couple things, without giving away too much on what you're about to say? So maybe we start with Kelly on this one. Okay. As we look at 2018, what are some of the things that you are most excited about, even in just like the life of our church and the community, to see grow, to see thrive?
I think one thing that we've always said would be like you're hitting the mark when people that are first-time guests come, and then you hear that after their first time, they went and invited someone and brought them the next week, and then they went and invited someone.
Right.
And we've been hearing stories like that happening, but I think I'm really looking forward to seeing, honestly, how God uses you.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see people continue to get plugged into serving roles and into small groups, and to see how God really pushes all of us to take whatever he's put in our hand and to go into our neighborhoods and into our workplaces and to really use that to advance his kingdom. I think it's happening now, but I've been seeing kind of an increase in that lately. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
What about for you, Dan?
I'll just jump into mine because I've got several things that I could talk about, and I think that sets me up perfectly.
That's fair. Okay, let's do this. This is not in the script. They don't know this, but I just want to honor Pastor Dan and Kelly because they talk about the team, but if you don't have good people up top, you guys know this doesn't work. So as Kelly and I leave and Dan goes into his spiel, let's just honor them because they're leading this church so well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. I'll keep this. I'm good. All right, sit down. Get out of here. All right. All right, so here's the deal. I'm not even going to take all the time I have because I know We want to be good and respectful with your time. But I want to jump into really 2018 and what lies ahead for us as a church. As you saw those stats that Steve talked about, I couldn't agree more with what Steve said, that really the growth that we're seeing, it's about, every number is a person's life. And every person has a story, and those stories are being changed for eternity. Like, these lives are being changed. And I get really excited about that. I'm really excited for what 2018 has. And there's what I want to talk about, kind of frame this portion of it around, is this idea of something that's already happening in our church. We're seeing growth. And that's the thing. That's what I really hope for in 2018. But I want you to follow me, because what we've been seeing is we've been seeing this like expansive growth. And there's different kinds of growth that can happen in the life of a church, just like there's different ways that you can grow as a person. A few years ago, I started getting serious about, I love to work out. I didn't used to love to work out. But I do now, and there's two different, when you start working out, you might hear people talk about you can grow stronger or you can grow bigger. You can work on like the beach muscles, like, you can get bigger biceps and it looks real pretty. Or you can do things like squats that are horrible, right? Like, nobody likes to squat, but you get stronger as you do that. And I feel like, in a sense, if you'll follow this analogy with me, I feel like as a church, what we've been seeing just happen naturally is we're just getting bigger. We knew when we went into this building that no matter what, just the proximity to different communities, the visibility from I-35, these different things, we knew that we would grow numerically. We knew that was going to happen. Our prayer was, we want to be able to support and take care of the people God brings us. Because what we never want to do is we never want to grow beyond the point that we can take care of those people. Because the moment that happens, I think God's going to shut it down and say, okay, learn to take care of these people first, and then I'll give you more. So I feel like we've been growing in like size, but what I want to really focus on in 2018 is growing in strength. I want us as a church, as individuals, to be stronger. I want your marriage, I want your spiritual life, I want your relationships, your job, I want those to be stronger. One thing that we're experiencing that we kind of see this growth in is just the need for more services. Honestly, today, if you follow kind of like the general attendance year over year, week to week, it does these kind of similar things. And we kind of knew today could be a little bit of a smaller day. There could just be a little dip in attendance. And then it's like started pouring down rain, and we're like, people don't like to go outside because apparently they melt in the rain. And like, so attendance at church is going to be down. And, no, I get it. I'm sure you do melt. Not you, it's the other people, right? And we're like, okay, it's raining. We're going to have less people. And then both services were full. Second service was like, I watched people like standing in the back going like, where am I gonna, and you experience the parking lot every week, right? And we got to do something with that growth. So a few weeks ago, we took a little survey and kind of asked people what they thought if we were to ever, hypothetically speaking, launch a third service. Well, clearly we are going to 3 services. So here's the thing. In 2018, we're going to be moving to 3 services, and it's going to start sooner than you think, March 18th. We are moving to 3 services, and the service times are 9, 10:30, and 12 o'clock. So the reason we're doing this is we want to create space for new people coming on. Here's the thing. You might think at one of these first ones, hey, we didn't need to move to 3 services. Listen, in the parking lot, when someone pulls up and there's nothing but like muddy grass parking spots to park in, it's easy to think, you know what? I'll just come back another week. And what if that was the week that the thing they needed to hear, the parking lot was just too full? We don't want people to come and see the kid spaces overflowing and think, I'll just keep my kid with me. That kid isn't getting the experience they should be having, and that adult isn't able to engage in the way they thought they should. So here's the thing. We need to move to 3 services for multiple reasons. The biggest being we need to create space for new people to come in. So here's the beauty of talking to this room. You guys are like the core, the committed. You're like delaying lunch. Granted, you're not skipping football. It's not like you're saints. But you're staying after for this, right? Like you're in it to win it. So I can speak real honestly to you guys, right? I need you to move to these outside services. And I need you to move to 9 and 12. Here's the thing. If you love first service, you love coming early, please come to the 9 o'clock. Okay? If you love maybe the late service, come to the 12 o'clock. Do it. Give us 6 months of that, please. Because here's the thing. It's the middle service that's going to fill up the fastest. So we need to create that one, create space in that one for the guests. That's the prime one that the guests come to. And guess what? Church, we're going to talk about this in our next series. I'm really excited about that. Church, it's not all about us, right? It's about other people. We do what we do in this room for the people that are out there and not in this room. That's why we do what we do. So you might go, oh, I like the 10:30 service. So do I. Hey, go to one of these outside services so you can free up space in that middle service. The other thing we want you to do is we want you to serve one and attend one. Pick one service to serve in and one service to attend in. We did a survey and we asked you, hey, hypothetically, if we were to launch a third service, would you be willing to serve? And we have your names. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was anonymous. It was anonymous. I wish. Listen, you're like, you said it was anonymous. So many people, like we did the math and it would be like, close to 100 people saying, yeah, I'm not serving, but I'd be willing to. We need you, every single one of you. We need you to serve. After church next week, there's going to be a serve rally where you're going to see the different areas you can serve in. Please be here next week. Please sign up to serve one and attend one. So that's that. Other things. Okay, so if we're growing bigger, how do we grow stronger? That's the question, right? If we're growing bigger, what do we do? What are the squats in our life, right? Like, what are the things that aren't always fun, but are going to make us stronger? Some of these things are really fun. One thing that we're going to be rolling out in the coming weeks and months is a new kind of discipleship pathway. We realize that we've got small groups, and small groups are awesome. We realize that serving's great, that you find community in the people that you serve with, but there's still something to be said for sitting down at coffee with someone, looking someone in the eye and saying, how are you really doing? Not like church Sunday morning, like, how are you doing, brother? Oh, too blessed to be stressed. But for real, how are you doing? You know that second question where it's like, how are you? And you're like, good. And you're like, no, really, how are you? And you're like, oh, not so good, right? Like, we need to create more avenues for that. So we're launching a discipleship pathway that kind of focuses on 6 areas of your personal life, spiritual life, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to encourage people to get together in groups of 2 and just ask people for 6 months that you get together regularly, maybe every other week or maybe once a month, and you're just sitting down going, how are you doing in these areas? What's one thing you can do to grow stronger in your relationships and when it comes to self-control, when it comes to personal spiritual disciplines? So that'll be one thing that we roll out, that we want to create this new avenue, not just groups, but also one-on-one with each other. And we want to encourage you and let you know, hey, listen, to disciple someone else, because that's what that is, that's a part of discipleship, you just have to be one step ahead. Listen, and honestly, to go one-on-one with somebody, you just got to be willing to be honest and go deep with somebody. That's all it takes. So we're going to be launching that and rolling that out and explaining that. There's going to be some extra kind of gatherings that we do this year. You experience the free date night. We've got other things like that. I talked about Night to Shine. We're going to offer some date nights for families with children with special needs that we can care for them and give them some respite care. We're going to be doing things like that. But there's some other services kind of, again, on that discipleship growth front. So some ways to help you grow stronger in your faith. We're going to provide some other avenues for that. So Sunday morning, we are very strategic in how we do what we do on Sunday mornings. That shouldn't be the only place you grow in your life. You should be doing that personally as well. We're going to also create some spaces where there's some opportunities to grow beyond that. Also, you heard me mention this morning. We partnered up with someone here in this church, and they took us down to Monclova, Mexico, and it was amazing. So you don't know how amazing it's going to be. You don't know how awesome it's going to be, but just because, I want you to give it up for Roy and Diana, who took us down there. They're probably so mad that we're calling them out, but guess what? I got the mic. They took us down there, and the relationships and the connections. There's a church down there called La Vide that is a 5-year-old church plant just like us, is about our same size, and really has a passion to connect with the community and the government and the business sector. And I'm like, they are us, only they speak Spanish, right? Like, I was like, si muy bueno, I'm trying, right? There are so many opportunities. There's a ministry down there called Comedor Mana, and what they do is they feed this really poor area, and they're helping to teach them. They have a vision to bring then the moms in. So they feed the kids. They want to bring the moms in and teach them parenting skills, teach them things. Then they want to bring the dads in, because really the problem revolves around the family unit. And it started because this husband and wife just had a passion, and they said, you know what? We can't do everything, but we can feed a few kids. So they went to a tree, and under a tree started feeding kids. And then they set up some tin and some little wood, a little shack, and they started feeding more kids. And then the government said, if you keep doing what you're doing, we'll give you this building that you can use this space. And they just kept doing it, and more kids and more kids. And it was just the right timing. The opportunities are incredible. There will be missions trips for youth, for college, for adults. There might be some opportunities to go down there if you're handy, if you like to build things that we could partner in that. I mean, there will be so many things. My passion for missions really isn't to go on like a bunch of one-off trips. It's not, oh, what cool place can we go? I want to build a long-term relationship. I want you and your kids to go, oh, I can't wait to see Maria. I can't wait to see this person. I've missed them. I want them to come back and their kids and those adults see you and say, oh my gosh, I've missed you. That you have that kind of relationship with a church family in Monclova, Mexico. And I am so excited about that. So that'll be huge. And then, of course, what are we going to do? And I'm a pastor, and I already lied. I've gone 30 seconds over. So here, real quickly, here's what it's going to take, okay? About to dismiss you. Here's what it's going to take. We've grown in size, right? That's happened. You saw the statistics. It's amazing. God's done miraculous things. We need to grow stronger as a church. So that's going to take you owning that journey. I can't do that. The team can't do that. We can't do that for you. We want to come alongside you. We want to help you. We want to make a clear path, but it's going to take you engaging to make that happen. We want this church to grow stronger so that the marriages and the lives and the relationships in this place are stronger and healthier. Isn't that what we want? We want people to become more like Jesus, right? Okay, so it's going to take some things from you. And again, I can talk real honestly because you guys are the committed, you're the core. It's going to take, you're going to have to step up and serve. You are. You're going to have to step up. If you're not in a small group, join a small group. If you're not serving, serve. I'll be honest, and again, I can talk to you like this real openly and honestly. Listen, we need more finances to pull this off. Like I can't tell you, you'll never know. January to May of last year and May to December is the story of two different churches. Yeah. I mean, it radically changed in that one meeting because people said, you know what? This is no longer someone else's church. This isn't Dan's church. This is my church. And I want my church to survive. This is not the only degree that this is like Kelly and I's is to the same degree that this is your church. This is my church just because I go here. I get to talk up here because I showed up first. That's it. Like I didn't do anything special. I don't have some great degree. I just showed up first. That's why I get to be up here. This is my church just like it's your church. So if you want to see this happen, if you want to see this church grow, if you want to see more people become more like Jesus, it takes resources to do that. It takes finances. And if you're a Christian, if you're a follower of Jesus and you're like, this is my church, we need you to step up and to give towards that. So listen, every single Sunday we talk about it. You can find out how at the info center. You can text to give and set up reoccurring giving and all those things. The how and the practice, you're smart people. You can figure it out, right? But I'm just saying we are all going to have to come together and say we're going to do this together. Because it's not the staff, it's not the boards, it's not the trustees. It is all of us together. And all of us can make a difference in Hays County when we put our minds to it. Amen? Amen. Let me pray for you and dismiss and we'll get out of here. God, thank you so much for this group. God, I thank you for these